Well, just as a quick anecdote in between, saw a very, very young fawn crossing the road in Crawford Notch this morning. And it stopped in the middle of the road and crouched down. And it was the most terrifying. It would be like, just, oh, small thing.
Oh,
Get out
no.
of the road. Get out of the road. I think it did.
Okay.
It was like, it was crossing with its mother, and it was so small, it could barely walk.
Oh, wow.
And, like, it saw me coming, and it just, like, hunkered down. It's like, oh.
Probably like it would do in the grass.
Oh, exactly. It was, so like, for the next half mile, I was like, I was flashing every car that was coming. I was like,
right.
Beware.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure he got across.
Well, I
hope so.
On the way back home, it didn't look like there was anything bad. So it was one of those things I was thinking about all day. I was like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. Hope it made it. You just have to think it did.
Oh, you
Hey,
cut
Brian.
Out. Hey.
You there?
You guys hear me?
Wanted to make sure you were. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Just listening.
Yep.
Is all of us?
We'll see. I'm going to give people a couple more minutes. We've got 4 now, so we could proceed. And I don't think we have anything major on the agenda. I know Ken can't make it. Haven't heard from Tom or Mike otherwise, but we'll give him a couple minutes here. I think Mike said he was going to make it.
Okay.
If my video comes in and out, I'm still here, hopefully, as the host, and I'm connected by my phone, so hopefully everyone can still hear me, but my internet seems a little bit shaky. All right, we'll give until 7:04. Does that sound good to everyone? And then just move on ahead.
Yep.
All right. Well, 7:04. Tom and Mike can always join if they're able. Like I said, I know Ken isn't going to make it tonight. So I think that the agenda is pretty limited, and I think we should be able to move through things pretty quickly here and get out at a reasonable hour for once. So I guess we'll go ahead and start the meeting with the first agenda item is review of March and May minutes, but I know Will is still working on those, and so he was going to give me an update after this meeting, taking a look back at his drafts that he had created, and let me know if you had any questions, and then I'll get those out, or Will get those out to the commission, and we'll hope to get those approved at I guess it would be the July meeting. So no minutes to review tonight. So the next agenda item is 2021 officers, and Julie let me know that even if we're remaining as is, we do have to go ahead and vote to formalize that. I guess the first thing I should do is just open up the floor to anyone who is here that would like to take on one of the officer positions. I mean, I think right now we have chair, vice chair, and Pam, are you the treasurer?
I'm the clerk.
The secretary. Okay.
The clerk.
Or the clerk. Okay, we'll go with that. Brian's the vice chair. I'm currently the chair, and I know that when I became the chair last year around this time, we had discussed potentially Ken doing the next year. At the same time, I don't have an issue continuing on myself if nobody has a problem with the fact that I am still living in Bartlett and hoping to get back into Jackson at some point. But at a certain point, I think the statute of limitations on that is going to run up, and it's going to become unclear whether I'll actually make it back into Jackson. And so I'm happy to keep doing it for the time being, if nobody objects to that, or unless anybody else wants to take it on. But I'll just say that for now, and then I'll let anyone else speak about what they want to do or don't want to do.
Well, I hope you stay on because you're doing a great job.
Well, thanks. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I just think at some point, and I'd even be open to just continuing through my 3-year term at the very least. But yeah, at some point, I think it will become. It won't make as much sense for me to be on the Jackson Conservation Commission, but we'll see. My fingers are crossed.
That just increases our incentive to find you a place.
Well, I would appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Brian just dropped off, and so we're now not. We don't have a quorum anymore. Ben, you're muted. Okay.
I think there was some weird bubble because I just dropped off too. So.
Okay. We'll see if Brian gets back in. Ben, any thoughts on your end? Do you have any particular interest or lack thereof?
As the juniorist member, it's still learning the ropes here, but I look forward to serving the commission any way I can. So if it comes to it, I would not be opposed to assuming a position.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm a little bit unsure how we should go about this if Brian isn't able to get back in here. Hopefully he is. I guess for the time being, we could jump to the next agenda item, and I could just ask you, Pam, would it make sense to put in the order for the materials for the falls and just let us know when it will be delivered, and see if we can kind of schedule a day to get out there either that day or a day or two afterward?
Sure. I mean, I did speak with Bob Santoro,
Okay, yeah.
because he has the Bobcat, and he basically said, if he can have a week's notice and do it in the late afternoon, he'll make time.
Okay.
So I think that would help, and not on a weekend, obviously.
No, I would prefer that too.
When we did it last year, did we do it in the afternoon? Is that what we did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. One evening.
Of course, it would be nice to have some water, some rain.
It would, although I haven't seen anything in the forecast.
I saw maybe 50% tomorrow, but that's obviously, who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can wait a week and see. Yeah, we could see if we can actually. You know what? Now that I say that, I did see. I think maybe toward the middle of next week, it looked like there was kind of a wet patch potentially coming in. That could obviously change, but that could definitely help. And so maybe we can look at something toward the end of next week or the beginning of the week after. That would give Bob a full week's notice, and we'll get a better idea for when the stuff can actually be delivered. But it also sounds like the delivery could happen within a day or two of us letting them know.
Right. The only one that takes time would be the sod, because they need a week's notice.
They need a week. Okay.
They need a week.
Okay.
I mean, and then we need to know that people will be available to come down and move stuff. That's the other thing. So, Bob's the most essential, but we still need everybody else, right? So I would think a week's notice would be sufficient. If we do it at the end of the day, I would think hopefully it wouldn't conflict with people's work schedules.
Yeah, something like 5:30, 6,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
It didn't take us long last time when we did it because we had a bunch of us. But
Yep,
this time we've
and-
got three pallets. So the alternative
Right.
is, by the way, I was thinking about this. The alternative is that we could spread all the materials with Bob and then come back with everybody with the and do the sods, because I think we just dragged it. I mean, Bob did put some in his Bobcat, but it didn't seem like it was that hard to drag. I don't know, Ben. What do you think?
I mean, it was easy to move with the wheelbarrow. I mean, it's not that far, so.
Yeah.
I mean, with the week notice, I can do it. Caitlin's fairly open in the evening, so.
Okay. But what do you think about breaking up the work? Or not? I don't know. Just a thought.
Part of me thinks it'd be easier to just get it done all at once. I definitely see the logic, but I guess I worry about, not really worry, but I would wonder if it'd be more difficult to get everyone in the same place twice. Within, a week or two. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. But I could just send out I can send out an email basically with a few days as options and see what works best for everyone. Obviously, we only have 3 of us here tonight, so.
Right. Because I can have the dirt dumped there any time. That's not a big deal. Although I have to admit, getting the materials from Lucy in my car, I mean, it's going to take a couple of trips. Because if you have 3 bales of peat moss and then 9 bags of compost, I don't think that'll fit in my car.
And I could help you with that, Pam, if you need.
Okay. That's cool. Maybe we can coordinate that at some point, because obviously we want to do that, right before we start moving the material, right before we start planting.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. So Jeff, you think you're just going to send out some emails?
Yeah, I'll send out an email with a few days toward the end of next week or the beginning of the following week and see what works best for everyone, and then we'll go from there.
That sounds good.
And yeah, we can coordinate on picking stuff up and make sure it works for Bob, obviously.
Right. Excellent. And thanks for getting that stuff through the town and everything.
Oh, no problem. It was pretty quick and easy, so.
Great.
I was prepared to get grilled by the select board, and they were okay with it.
Oh, excellent. Well, it comes out of a special fund, and as long as you're reasonable, right?
Right. No, I wasn't actually expecting that, but it was a little bit more than we've asked for in the past, so.
Okay. Yeah.
But similar magnitude. Yeah, I'm still not seeing Brian. I guess I'd look to you, Ben and Pam, as far as, do you think we should give it a few more minutes? And then, I mean, there isn't really anything we need to make a decision on tonight. The only thing that really I thought made sense to discuss with the whole group, there are a few FYI items, but I think we should figure out whether we want to continue with virtual meetings or go back to in-person at some level, or try to do them outside if possible. I'm open to suggestions. I think the select board expressed that it would be good to see us come back to in-person meetings. And I don't know where the emergency order status stands at this point. For instance, I know that another board, that the public body that I serve on, recently was told that we need to go, we're required to go back to in-person meetings. I don't know whether that's the case. I haven't been told that by the town, but that's the case for the Conservation Commission. But I'm open to it, but I also recognize the convenience and simplicity of the Zoom meeting. So what do you, Ben and Pam, think?
I do like the convenience, but there's a lot of other business that can get done in person that is harder to do over the Zoom. So I think it would probably make meetings faster. There's a note from Will here.
So Ben, you
My
think they're
understanding that,
faster
go ahead,
in
Pam.
person or virtual?
Oh, in person, just like the lag that is. The lag is an issue, and I think Brian just lost his internet, so he'll be back in a minute. So.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll try to hold on till then.
But Will's,
I guess I also wonder whether you guys think it makes more sense to wait on the officer decisions and I guess deciding about the meeting format until the next meeting. And even if Brian does join back in, if we should try to wait until we have more of a full representation.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Although I think we do have to go back to regular meetings at some point. I know I am at work, so.
Yeah. Yeah, similarly, we've started to go back to in-person meetings. We've been able to do them outside, which has been great.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
All right, Brian is joining back in here. So Brian, while you were gone, we voted to make you the chair for 2021. I don't know whether you can hear me or not, but
did you lose him again?
I think I'm back.
I can't. Oh, there he is. Okay. Did you hear that you were made the chair? Anyway, no, we were actually just discussing that we wonder if it makes more sense to even wait on that, even if there is no change, to wait on making decisions about officers until the next meeting when everyone ideally would be here. Does that make sense to you, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And we got through Jackson Falls for the most part. Brian, I'm just going to send out an email. Will ask, would it be possible to hold a short meeting in the interim to make those decisions? Yeah, it might be, and I can reach out to folks. I mean, we could theoretically do it when we're doing the work session at Jackson Falls, maybe. I'll look into that, but that's a good suggestion, Will. And then the only other thing, so sorry, Brian, I was going to say, I'm sending out an email with a few days toward the end of next week, beginning of the following week, to give people options to let everyone know what would be best in terms of meeting to put the sod and loam and everything in it at Jackson Falls. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. The next thing under Jackson Falls was the Wentworth parking discussion, and to be honest, I'm not fully informed on what the background is here, but I know that I believe the owner of the Wentworth did reach out to the town and asked the select board to clarify that the parking across from the Wentworth is Wentworth property, and I guess I don't know the background or the history there. I know we were talking about it in a meeting previously, and asking about which portions were under a town easement further up the road, and I don't personally know. All I know is that the select board did read into their last meeting a letter from the Wentworth clarifying that point, and so I was asked to add that to our agenda as well. And I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts there, but I guess I would say refer to the select board minutes to get clarity on that. Sound good? All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Under prospect, what's that, Brian? All right. So under Prospect Farm,
minutes
Ken
behind,
just
it feels like.
Yeah, I think you're a bit behind, so I'll just kind of move forward. But I'm
That's
going
all
to type
right.
a message if you really need to get something across. So as far as Prospect Farm goes, Ken let me know that he was going to have a draft. He's gone tonight, obviously, but he's going to have a draft of the management plan ready for review at the next meeting. That's the update there. I don't have any updates for Gray's Inn. Bill Terry has let me know that he'd keep me informed on the presentation to the planning board about the potential development back there. I know that, again, all of that is still in very, very conceptual stages, so I'll let everyone know if I hear anything more concrete about that. And then on Wildcat River, the town got a message from a member of the public. I don't know. I imagine there's a portal on the town website where you can submit comments or messages, and that's where this came through. A member of the public essentially reached out and was asking about some clippings and brush that have been piled along the Wildcat behind the Snowflake Inn along the walkway down there. And I did go down and take a look, and I guess I would agree that it doesn't look great, and that it would certainly be preferred if that wasn't taking place. I do think that it actually might constitute a wetlands impact, and so I guess my thought is that I would be happy to reach out to the Snowflake and see if we can get some clarity on that, or see if we can come up with a better solution for what to do with those clippings and brush, so that they're not kind of just piled on the bank of the river there.
Okay, my internet connection just keeps on dropping in and out on this, so I apologize if I drop out. Caitlin and I are on the board of the East Side Walk and taking that over from Larry Bama and Leslie. So he has worked with, or he's had a relationship with Gary. This has come up every year, however long the walk has been in existence. And I don't know, I would just characterize the relationship as slightly contentious. And I think Larry's position has been that if we can move things out of the way, but it becomes I guess an issue that we're dumping his trash for him if that's what is happening to maintain that riverbank. I've personally gone down there and tried to break stuff down and not have it be mounded up so it decomposes faster. And it's also a bigger issue in the spring when the grass is longer and wetter. So it's definitely more of a early spring, early summer issue. But it's also because it's grass clippings. There's not a very easy way to make a nice compost pile that's not going to be stinky on the property there. And I don't know if there's any larger, if the town, their policy on accepting brush and grass clippings. Because I know he was piling brush down there at the end of last year because the transfer station was not accepting brush for a while. So if that's a policy that we can just say, please feel free to dump at the transfer station so you don't, so it's not piled up there, just so he knows it's not going to be an issue. But I don't know if that's opening up a special case. But I don't know if it's a good mode to go pursue it as a wild and scenic or a wetlands issue, because I think he would see that it was targeting him specifically, where it could be an issue that exists all up and down the river of property abutters, and that would be something we'd have to take on enforce it uniformly, because there are quite a few properties that abut there. I don't know what their dumping policies are. But it just happens to be that it's in a very public place. So I think it's more of a work with him gently rather than creating an enforcement issue.
Yeah, and that would be my intention. I guess my hope would be we could come up with a good solution, and it'd be interesting to reach out to the town as well and just see whether there is some opportunity to bring that off-site somewhere. So yeah, I don't intend to. I don't think it's a huge issue at the moment. Just something that I think would be good to find a solution for. So thanks for the background info, Ben. Any other thoughts, Brian or Pam?
Sad that the Thompson House couldn't use some of the grass clippings because they were trying to solicit, household, garbage from a lot of the Jackson families. But I don't know. Is there some reason why they wouldn't be interested in the grass clippings? Do you think, Ben?
I don't know. Grass clippings are hard to deal with because they need to be mixed with. They're so high in nitrogen. They need to be mixed with a large volume of other dry
carbon.
So, and because it's such a large space, so I don't know. I think there's probably, and I don't know particularly what the transfer station policy on grass clippings is. So it can go to the transfer station. That's one easy solution. Just for the grass clippings, I think the brush, there's not as much. And, Larry had kind of fallen down on the brush that is along the walkway. So I've been cleaning that up a little bit, moving that out. So the volume of that's not going to be so great going forward in the future. But I think it also opens up another conversation about, I think Ken has mentioned in the past that there's a big concentration of knotweed there on the lower end near the bench, near the fire pond.
Yeah.
But it's also much more dense on the Wentworth side. So I think going forward, just looking at kind of having an invasive plant policy that we can work on in the river, because it seems kind of like a Herculean task to try to tackle that when everything upriver kind of just deposits in that same spot. So as long as knotweed's an issue upriver, it's going to continue to be a problem in that particular spot in the river. So,
I was talking to somebody over the weekend, and they lease out goat herds that apparently take down the Japanese knotweed and they eat it.
I'm interested in seeing how that works. If the digestion of the knotweed breaks it down, or if it helps spread it to more places. That's one of the ways it propagates. So but yes, it's a larger problem. I think it's a worthy task for us to kind of look at in a whole along that river.
Right.
Because doing it piecemeal is not going to be, the most effective solution.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty pervasive. I guess I've got a couple thoughts there. At least as far as the immediate the issue that's on the agenda, the clippings and stuff that are piled next to the river, I'd be happy to reach out to the town and try to figure out what the transfer station policy is on all of that. whether there's just an easy solution there, and then also to, I guess, try to open a dialogue with the Snowflake and just see if we can. Yeah, I would much rather work on it collaboratively than anything else. So if everyone's okay with that, I'm happy to, and maybe Ben, I'll loop you in if you're all right with that too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. And then as far as the knotweed issue goes, I was wondering if we might want to reach back out to, there was someone from the Rockingham Conservation District that presented to us last year at some point and talked about some work that they were doing in Jackson, I believe on knotweed. And maybe we should reach back out to them and see if they're planning to do any more work this year and whether we can ask them to target specific areas.
Yeah, well, that's definitely worth looking into. But if you go down and look at the bank, yes, I'll just leave it there. Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's it does feel pretty hopeless. I mean, I see it all over the place out in Jackson and outside of Jackson, and it's
Once you know what it looks like, that's all you see now.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, but do those few points of action sound reasonable?
Yes.
I think so.
Great. Any other thoughts there before we move on to conservation easements?
No.
All right. The only thing I have to mention for conservation easements is that I think it's around this time that we typically send the monitoring letters out. And so I can take a look at that and see when we sent them out last year, update them and get them sent out shortly here. And then everyone's aware of what property they are responsible for and able to get out at some point in the next several months.
Yep.
Okay. So under wetlands, we did receive a permit. I believe it was a minimum expedited wetlands permit for a private property off of, I think it was Farrell Drive or Farrell Road, right across from Red Barn Road on Route 16 as you're heading into Pinkham Notch. The permit was submitted and then subsequently withdrawn, and I did speak to the wetland scientist who's working on behalf of the property owner. That's Greg Howard, who also worked with us on the Jackson Falls restoration plan. I spoke with him, and essentially there was a miscommunication about whether the permit was in hand or not, and when work was authorized or not. And it sounds like there was a fairly significant amount of work done before the permit was obviously received. And so that's considered at this point a wetland, an after the fact wetlands permit that they're going to be submitting. So I essentially gave the permit that had been submitted back to Greg so that they can revise some documents and resubmit. So we'll be seeing it again. And I think at that point we'll have more information about what exactly took place. I don't think it's a major impact, but I did drive by, and after speaking with Greg, it sounds like essentially some unauthorized tree clearing to clear out a lot and a driveway, and then a construction of a temporary driveway for that tree clearing and movement of some earth and boulders. And I think some of that made its way down into a small brook down slope. And so it's right on Route 16. You can see it as you drive by. And like I said, we'll be seeing that permit come back under our review at some point in the next couple of weeks, I would think. So Greg is available if we have any questions. But right now, there's no action we need to take on it. And the other thing I'll mention based on my conversation with Greg is he was really impressed with the work that we've done over the last few years at Jackson Falls, having written that restoration plan. He said he had stopped by last year at some point and was really, really happy with the progress that had been made.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. And then under new business, again, we kind of got into this, Brian, while you were off, but I think we need to consider what our meeting format looks like moving forward. I guess my thought is that it would be good at some point to return to in-person, and that we're probably going to have to do that at some point regardless. I'd love to do them outside if we can figure out a way to do that. I know that Hank will have to figure out a way to get his video set up. But maybe Hank, you and I can keep in touch on that and see if there's a way to do that. Otherwise, if people are generally comfortable with returning to in-person meetings,
Jeff,
we can do it.
I would, it would not be an issue for me if we were to do it outside, but I would have to be on battery power,
Okay.
but that's not an issue because I've got like 2 or 3 batteries. So yeah, I would just be on battery power and not be an issue.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Hank.
No problem.
So, I mean, I think the other thing I should probably do is reach out to the town and see if there is any sort of official policy. I know Will said, the last select board meeting was held in person, but with the option for folks to join by Zoom. And so we may have to do that as well. And that also, Will also said, it's my understanding that town organizations can meet in person if all attending members of the board have been fully vaccinated. I guess I'd like to get clarification from the town on that, just because I don't know what my ability to ask individual members their vaccination status or anything like that is right now. I'd be open to getting back in person, and I will say I personally am fully vaccinated, so I'm comfortable with that, but I don't want to speak for everyone. So I guess my thought there is I'll get some clarification on the town if there is any sort of official policy or thought as to when it will be required, if it will, that we'll get back in person, but I think we should probably expect that. And I'd like to keep the option to meet virtually when we want to, if we can.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay. Maybe we just won't make a decision on that tonight. Maybe we can discuss it when we do get together in person to do work up the fall, get a good feeling for what everyone's comfortable with, and maybe I'll have more information from the town at that point. Okay. Any other new business from anyone that's here tonight? And any public comment?
No.
All right. Well, I think that's it then.
Wow.
I guess I'll just make yeah, that was a quick meeting. I'll take it. I feel like we've had a good string of like 1.5 to 2 hour meetings. So 40-minute meeting feels pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll send out an email to see when folks can meet in person, and I'll ask for a second of the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
I'll second that. Oh,
All right, Pam got to it first. All those in favor, Pam,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Brian,
aye.
I'm an aye, so that's it. Thanks everyone, and hope you have a good night and a good rest of the week.
Thanks,
Talk
Jeff.
to you soon.
Cool.
Yeah, you too.
All right, you too, Jeff.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
Night.